attempting a one-day solo through hike of the Art Loeb Trail in western North Carolina. It's about 30 miles, and the direction I'm going, I'll climb about 8,000 feet total in elevation, so it's going to be a big challenge. It's 4:15 a.m. right now. I'm about 15 minutes in to the first climb, which is about 3 miles up. I think it's just over 2,000 feet that I'll be climbing, maybe a little bit more actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But this should be an exciting day. The weather is not looking good, but I'm prepared for it, and I'll video as much as I can. It's downpouring. I'm not gonna be able to capture much of that, but come along on this adventure and we'll see how it goes. Hoping to finish by 8 p.m. tonight. I should have mentioned the climb starts at Camp Daniel Boone and ends briefly at Deep Gap, which is at the base of Cold Mountain. So at the parking lot when David dropped me off, we were at 3,200 feet of elevation, and at Deep Gap I'll be at 5,000, and I continue to climb through the Narrows and up to Stairs Mountain. So it is a big morning, and rain is supposed to come in, I think around 7 or 8 a.m. So I'm gonna try to get as much of this climbing done before I am absolutely in a deluge in a little bit. Seeing these black salamanders, maybe? I've probably seen 15 of them. A lot of those, and snails, and like millipedes and things. And a lot of little bugs flying by my headlamp, which is fun. And I'm doing something called silk blazing this morning, which means I'm knocking down all the spider webs because I'm the first one on trail. So if I had a spotlight on me, I'd probably be sparkling. I could have a bunch of lines of silk across my chest. It's going to be hard to see, but I'm at least going to tell the story. I came down from the trail way up over there, and then down towards the water crossing where there was a landslide. And then when I turned to come up here, there were no roots other than some little scrawny ones sticking out for me to try to grab onto. So I was climbing up hand over hand through the dirt all the way up to over here. I was sliding, my feet were sliding. So you can kind of see my nasty hands after trying to brush them off. That was a little scary, but fingers came in handy. It's about 6 a.m. I made it to Deep Gap. Being really quiet because there were a couple of tents set up, so people are sleeping. But the sun is just starting to come up. It's time to head up through the Narrows, which is the part I'm most nervous about. And then Stairs Mountain, and then we'll come out into the Balds. Here we go. All right, so further away from that campground, and now the light's out a little bit, sun's out, and I'm climbing up into the Narrows. See, it's been climbing since 4 a.m. and it's 6:30, but it's really cool. I may have to flip the camera around to be able to see it, but there's like fog coming up in the valley, like valley fog. I didn't think I was going to get any views today with the rain, but I might get some yet. So I'm going to keep plowing ahead and hopefully make it to some of the big open areas before the rain comes in. Oh, here we go. Oh, wow. So I started down in that valley. All right, so I got my first view of where I'm headed. Going to be going up there, that's Shining Rock Wilderness. If you've heard of Black Balsam or Tennant Mountain, Grassy Cove Top, all those 6,000 foot peaks are along that ridge. So I'll be making my way up to the top of Stairs Mountain, and then crossing over into Shining Rock. I'm about 4.5 miles in, and this will be my last view for a while, so wanted to take it in. It's so pretty this morning. A little ominous with the clouds, but still beautiful. So now it's time to go down a little bit of a rock scramble. I'm gonna see if I can actually capture this on the camera. Not me actually doing it, but when I'm going down. Oh, it's so hard to tell how steep that is. Yeah, when we come up this way, the kids and I have hiked it with David the other direction. It's hand over hand to come up. So it's very steep. So here we go. It's not called the Narrows for nothing. See how skinny this trail is? It's like rocks on both sides here. In some portions of it, you've got a little bit of a, not little, significant drop off to the right. And then kind of a steep bank up to the left, or in some cases down on both sides. So hopeful I'll be able to navigate through this before storms or rain or whatever else, because right now I can see great. The birds are singing. It's currently a beautiful morning. This is not what I expected, so I'm feeling so thankful. Praising God for answered prayer. Getting through this without the rain. Oh my gosh, y'all, I'm so proud. I made it through the Narrows. That was the part I was the most nervous about navigating. And I made it. So I am now climbing up Stairs Mountain, taking a break for a second just to breathe. It's about 7 o'clock, 5 miles in, so slower pace, but understandably climbed over 3,000 feet. So looking forward to when it kind of evens out for a bit through Shining Rock, but I'm feeling so proud of making it to where I have so far on my own. This is the first time I've hiked alone. It's a heck of a first solo hike, but I am feeling great. I'm really excited to see how far I can make it today. Now that I'm not hiking in the dark, I can actually see all the flowers. There's a trillium there. The green's really starting to pop up too, which is nice. So, had a little bit of a cruisy trail for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, and it's gone back to rocks. Thankfully, these aren't near as wet as the ones on the way in. It's a little bit of a breeze and no rain yet, so it's been kind of drying everything out. Very thankful for that. But definitely have to be aware of foot placement. You know that you're coming into Shining Rock Wilderness when you start seeing quartz making its way into the trail. I've been seeing it for a while, but this is where the really big chunks of it start showing up all over the sides of the trail. But this is why it's called Shining Rock. There's a big quartz outcropping that the sun hits and makes it shine. It's point to point, so you can start on the south end and hike north, or on the north end and hike south. And so David and the kids and I have done from the south side to the north side. It's 30 plus miles point to point. We've done that direction twice, but today I'm hiking from the north side, starting at Camp Daniel Boone. I got dropped off there at 4 a.m. and I'll be finishing at Davidson River Campground. Oh, hopefully, we will see, but hopefully by like 8 o'clock tonight. We'll have to see what the weather does and just kind of get a sense for how I'm feeling. I've never hiked this far. I've never hiked alone. A lot of firsts today, but so far so good. Hey, so I took a break at Flower Gap to put together a cold soak. I've got ramen in a jar of water. It's supposed to be a plastic container, but I didn't have one big enough. And so typically you cook, ramen over a fire. I didn't bring, let's see if you can see this. I did not bring the stove today because it's supposed to be super rainy. I'm very thankful it's not. But I didn't think I'd be able to do much of a fire in the rain. So another option is just a cold soak. So I won't eat this ramen for probably 3 hours or so. Just let it soak in the water while I'm walking. And then I'll add the seasoning packet and some chicken when I get to, trying to think, probably when I get to the shelter. There's a shelter at Deep Gap. Sorry that you're not seeing my face. There's a shelter at Deep Gap. And so I know I already passed a Deep Gap, but there's 2 on this trail. So the next Deep Gap has a shelter. I'm not sure if I'll have another covered area, but if the weather holds out, I could eat it, in 3 hours wherever I am. But that is that. And put my lid on. Give it a little shake there. Keep my flavor packet ready to go. And get trash put out of the way. And now, in about 3 hours, we'll have some ramen that I can add, like I said, chicken and the flavor packet too. So, should be yummy, I hope. Made it to the Shining Rock Wilderness sign, but I'm here in Ivester Gap. I am 8.5 miles in, just under 5 hours of hiking so far, but the miles are starting to come a little bit faster, which is good. So I can't even express how, look back here. I can't even express how amazing this is. There were not supposed to be any views today. I was supposed to be walking essentially in rain showers all day. This is absolutely amazing. So more than I could have hoped for. And this little bunny does not seem even the least bit bothered by me being here. Just having his breakfast. All right. Bye, Mr. Bunny. I'm halfway up my climb to the top of Tennant Mountain. Look at that view. I'll be way up there. I don't know, in an hour maybe? Not sure. That's the top of Tennant. Kind of see people up there. That's where I'm headed next. So thankful for views, oh my gosh, and for the sun. It's beautiful. Made it to the top of Tennant Mountain. It's like 6,000 feet up. Feeling very accomplished. About to head up to Black Balsam back there, if any of you have done that. Rain's held off, praise God for that. So thankful for all this beautiful weather. Feeling strong and so happy. 6,000 1,000 feet up. Beautiful. Windy, but beautiful. Made it to the top of Black Balsam Knob. It's the second highest peak east of the Mississippi, second to Mount Mitchell. It is beautiful up here. This is the highest I'll be on trail. Just so thankful for the sun, again, for how beautiful this day has turned out to be. Like, it's unbelievable. I get emotional thinking about it, it's just unreal. So thankful. If you look closely, you can see the Blue Ridge Parkway. So, feeling super good about this. You can see how crazy this terrain is going down. So I'm heading up to that summit over there, which is a little shorter than the main summit, and then down into the pine forest. Okay, so that was so cool. I was on top of the false summit of Black Balsam, and there was a couple up there with a really nice camera. And I saw a rose on the ground, and I thought maybe they had just gotten engaged. I don't know. So I asked, and they're actually photographers that are waiting for a couple to arrive and get one that the lady's gonna be proposed to today. So that's so cool. Although her soon-to-be fiance is making her work really hard to get up to the proposal spot, but great payoff at the top. So we've descended down into that pine forest I was talking about. And we'll be continuing to go down. We'll cross over Black Balsam Access Road, which takes you to a parking lot if you want to do the short route up to the top of Black Balsam Knob, where I was a few minutes ago. But we'll cross over that road, tuck back into the pine forest for just a little while, and then we'll be at the top of Silver Mine Bald, just across the road, tucking back into the woods. I love this section. If there was just some fog, it would feel like Narnia with all these trees. Remember that fog I said we needed for it to feel like Narnia? The clouds have rolled in, officially socked in up here, but it's beautiful. Very thankful for the stairs. This is new. So what I remember about coming down Silver Mine Bald is no stairs and having to go hand over hand in sections. Sorry for how shaky this is. But it looks like trail maintainers, thank you guys, came through and added steps, which makes it so much better. Oh, with grading on it even for grip. Oh, I love it. Thank you, trail maintainers. Oh my gosh. This is the Blue Ridge Parkway. I made it down Silver Mine Bald. So I just heard from David. It's 11:15. I got service kind of by the parkway, and he said that the rain that was supposed to be here all day, and it hasn't hit us yet, is holding off until 12 or 12:30. So I might have as much as an hour, maybe even a little bit more before the rain starts hitting. So I was looking at the map, and I've got about 2 miles. I'm 13 miles in. I've got about 2 miles or maybe a little bit more until the first shelter on the trail. And I would love to make it there before the rain and kind of get situated inside the shelter to eat my ramen, and I can fill up my water, filter some water and fill everything back up. yeah, so now it's like a race against the clouds. So hopefully I'm able to make it before the rain starts falling, but I'm thankful it hasn't rained to date so far. So if it starts raining on me, that's fine. But my goal is to get to that shelter beforehand. All right, it's 11:45. I've got 1 mile till the shelter and about 500 feet to climb over Sassafras Knob. And then I'll descend down into Deep Gap where the shelter is. So here's to hoping I can do this in the next half hour. So fingers crossed. I agree with the rating. It's a hard trail. Lots of payoffs though. This is what it looks like when you finish summiting a peak after climbing 500 feet of elevation. Feels really good. So now I get to descend to Deep Gap. And I'm so ready to eat that ramen and get some water out of the spring, filter that. Oh, it's gonna be so good. Let's do it. So I didn't film very much back there. There were 4 other folks at the shelter. 3 were taking a break before heading south, the direction I'm going. And the other one had set up camp for the night. Sorry to bug in my face. And he's gonna just be day hiking now that he's all set up. So didn't want to be obnoxious pulling my phone out. But the ramen was delicious. Oh my goodness, I was so hungry. I ate all of it and went down to the water source and filled up my filter bag and got filtered water back in my different water bottles. And so next stop will be Butter Gap Shelter. Rain hasn't started yet, so we'll just have to wait and see kind of what transpires, but so far luck is holding out. Oh my gosh, y'all, I forgot that right after that shelter coming this direction, it's Pilot Mountain. I haven't done the backside of it, which is supposed to be shorter than the other side, but it's also supposed to be steeper. So from this point, I have 2 miles until I'm completely over Pilot and down at Gloucester Gap. Thankfully, there are switchbacks, which does make the climb feel longer in some ways because you're zigzagging up the mountainside, but then it's not quite as intense as going straight up the side of the mountain. So you do gain elevation quickly. As you can see, that's where I was just a second ago. And now we're here, going way up there. Wow, we made it to the top. But we are totally socked in. So typically this is a view of Blue Ridge Mountains, Appalachian Mountains. Still descending down Pilot, but the clouds broke just a little bit to give us a little bit of that view we would have had at the top. So this was totally unexpected. So trail magic is when someone leaves like a cooler of goodies on the trail. It says help yourself. I grabbed an oatmeal cream pie. Don't mind if I do. They even have a trash bag. It's perfect. Thank you, Blue Ridge backpackers. Just came out of Gloucester Gap. Whenever you come out of a gap, you know you are climbing up after. Here we go. About to climb up Chestnut Knob, and then I'll come down on the other side to Butter Gap, which is where the other shelter is. Might stop for just a minute, refill water, the bit that I've drank since the last shelter, And then once I'm at Butter Gap, I have 8 miles to go. So at this point, I have about 10. I've done 20. So I guess five more hours and I'm at 2:30. So with a break, I guess I might be finishing by 8 after all. Yay! It's been raining on me for about an hour. So I haven't gotten the phone out, but I had to for this little guy. I think it's called an eft. Correct me if I'm wrong, but super cute. All right, on to the shelter. We're almost there. Whew, made it to the shelter. Hang out in here for a few minutes, get dried off. Nice. So it's about 4:10 and I just left the shelter. Got my raincoat on. The rain has not stopped, which is fine. I'm very thankful for all the sun that I got this morning. But I've got somewhere between 8 and 9 miles. I did not do my math right earlier. So somewhere between 8 and 9 miles until I am at Davidson River Campground. Based on the rain, I'll have to move a little slower, especially going downhill. So maybe it'll be more like 9:30 before I finish, but I am finishing this thing. Let's do it. So I just crossed over 22 miles, which prior to today was the longest I'd ever hiked. So setting a record at this point, no matter how far I get, it'll be the furthest I've ever gone. We'll be honest, starting to slow down a little bit. There's far more climbing than I thought there would be on this side. Again, I've never gone this direction. So in my mind, it felt like this part was easy, but I'd come the other way on it. So from the other direction, there's a whole lot of down. But from this direction, there's a whole lot of up. So my legs are starting to talk to me a little bit. I'm hoping I can get this done. Thankful it's not hot, at least, but yeah, so we will see. Currently climbing up to the base of Cedar Rock Mountain. Came from way past that. Took a break to video so I could get my breathing back to normal. Woo, lots of climbing. All right, so I made it to Cat Gap. I've got to go up that way and cross over Chestnut Knob. So I did Chestnut Mountain earlier, Chestnut Knob, and I believe, I was just looking at the map, I believe that's the last significant climb. And then it's mostly gentle ups or down / flat all the way to the end. So, feeling very excited. It's actually gonna happen. I've been hiking for 13 hours at this point. Yeah, so learning what my limits are. I haven't hit it yet, but I feel pretty confident at the end of this I'm gonna just collapse. Top of Chestnut Knob. Oh man. Okay, so now mostly downhill. I hope. Although I would take flat. With everything being so wet, it's gotten a little bit slippery. So here we go. Making our way down to 2 different road crossings. And then we'll ultimately connect with the Estito Trail down by Davidson River and finish it up. Cannot wait to see David. Feeling very, very proud. Oh, thanks for coming along on this journey. All I can do is laugh. I just came down. That was a false summit. Oh, so I still gotta go up to the top of that. It's okay. It's okay. I thought I was just flying, but no, I was going at a good pace, about to summit Chestnut Knob. Now I'm at the top. So it was a solid 25 more minutes of climbing. I confirmed we're at the top. So now we're going down. I'm gonna take my raincoat off, even though it's still kind of drizzling, so I am now too hot in this coat.
Here comes Superwoman.
30 miles.
Take that, Art Loeb.
Oh, so glad to be done.
16 hours.
Yes.
Well done, huh?
Thank you.